I'm Bernardo Tavares, CTO of Granter.ai. I will be co-hosting this webinar we decided to call Unlock Your Manufacturing. We will be talking about one opportunity in particular called Inovação Produtiva, innovative production. We'll go there. We have been helping several companies with this sort of grants, and we want to help people to get to know them. That's why we do these webinars. Knowledge is to be shared, and we want to make the access to these grants more efficient and transparent. But also cheaper. That's why we have the AI tools. You can use them for free, and our expert reviewers, which value varies per each grant. So stay with us to learn more. With me, I'm going to introduce you both Bernardos. So we have Bernardo Moutinho, our ops guy, and Bernardo Seixas, our CEO. And we're going to start talking about Inovação Produtiva, right? So there's going to be a presentation to show here. And Bernardo Seixas, the stage is yours.
Hello, guys. So good to be back in one of these live webinars. Like Tavares said, we're going to be talking about one specific opportunity in the overall umbrella program, grant program called Portugal 2030. This specific one is called Inovação Produtiva. Like he said, productive innovation. Let's translate it like that. And the objective of this program is really simple, is very niche but a very good opportunity nonetheless. It's to support innovative industrial or touristic projects developed by SMEs. These two keywords, industrial and touristic, are the main ones, but uh, what I want to say about this, touristic is also included in this program, but the main goal of this project is to incentivize industrial production. So this is, like I said, a little bit more niche for the our community here, both startups and SMEs alike, because only if you have usually industrial production, so production of physical products, is this program usually for you. In terms of eligible projects, this includes the creation of a new establishment, and we can go a little bit deeper into what a new establishment is, but basically a physical place that you are working on, usually a factory of some sorts. You can also increase the capacity of an existing establishment. So even if you are not building a new one, you already have one and you want to expand it, so be it modernize it or expand the size of your factory, you can do it. You can also have an eligible project of creating new products. So you have an existing product line and now you want to expand it into new products. Or you can fundamentally alter the overall production process. So if you're going to switch up your entire production process, this project can be eligible to get a grant, and you can subsidize this usually very large investment that you're going to make. Now, in terms of eligible entities, like most programs in the Portugal 2030 grant scheme, this is focused into SMEs, so micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. This includes startups as well, for the startups that are listening as well. In terms of applications, super important. The phase one is currently open, and it's open until September, so mid-September, and then you have a second phase until the end of the year. We are focusing on the first phase, and we are suggesting any customer of ours to focus on the first phase, because like in any grant scheme, if there are too many applications, and you wait until the second phase, you might end up with the most dreaded scenario of having an approved project, but then not actually getting the money because there's not enough money to go around. In terms of co-financing rates, this is also what you're here for. The minimum financing rate for this project is 25%. Is not the highest from the programs that we've already talked about. It's not the highest at all. But let's remember and keep in mind that these projects are usually much larger than a normal Portugal 2030 application. So usually in the hundreds of thousands or millions of euros. So the minimum or the base rate is 25%. The maximum rate is 40%. In terms of project values, we have a minimum of 300,000, which means for small companies that have some sort of productive capacity, but they don't want to invest a lot of money. This program is not for you. There are smaller ones that you might be more qualified for, like Qualificação dos PMEs that we talked about in the last live webinar, or if you are in a specific area of Portugal, there might be a regional grant for you. But this is a national one for big investments. This is if you want to build a new factory that you're going to spend 500k, 1 million euros on. This is the one for you. And again, the maximum for these projects is 25 million euros. Now, in terms of eligible expenses, what can you spend that this project will refund you? Um, the first one is the most obvious one, is the purchase of machinery and equipment. So you have a factory, you're trying to expand your capacity, you're trying to modernize your system, so you need to purchase big expensive machines or equipment, and this is eligible expense for Inovação Produtiva. Then you can also put the costs of setting up those machinery, also acquiring some IT equipment or necessary software for all of your machinery. This is very related to IoT, to Industry 4.0. So if any of these topics ring a bell for your business, it might be interesting for you to look into this grants, because it's something that it really benefits from. Also, a few other things like patents for specific products, software licenses, engineering services, and then construction costs and also remodeling costs. So, construction, if you're building a new establishment or expanding your previous establishment, or just remodeling your previous one. And also, but also important, this can add up to quite a cost, the environmental impact assessments. Sometimes when you are doing all of these construction work, you need to do these environmental assessments reports. It's also important that this is an eligible expense in this program.
So now regarding the application process. So as Seixas was saying, this is a really big opportunity, and the application process is really similar to other opportunities we have been talking in our webinars. Okay, so the first step is a common one. You need to have an account in Portal dos Fundos or Balcão dos Fundos, let's call it like that. There is the main point where you can submit applications to any opportunity in Portugal 2030. Okay, and then you will access the opportunity itself and the form that is already open, and you will need to prepare and fill these answers to this form. It's a rather long form, and here I would say to you guys to be really aware, or in the point 5, I believe, that is the evaluation criteria. That is the all of the criteria to where your application will be evaluated, and it's really important to justify and really present it really clearly. How does your project match these evaluation criteria? Okay, so prepare for these answers, read about the evaluation criteria, and tailor your answers to those evaluation criteria. Okay, then commonly for any type of project for Inovação Produtiva, you will need to prepare and attach a set of documents. Okay, the first one is the 2000 last year financial statements that most companies already have closed their last year in terms of financial documents, so they are ready to apply. Or in the cases where the company is not still not closed by large set of reasons, they can present 2022 financial statements. Okay, and this will act as a proof that your company is financially ready to make an investment this large. Then you also, obviously, we are talking here about projects around, in average, 1, 2, 3 million. And then you also need to present, obviously, critical HR resumes to prove that your management team has the capability to execute and to manage a project of this dimension and with this impact. Okay. And then also you will need to present a Gantt chart with all of the planned work for this project, because it's super large projects, 3 years projects, and so it's really important that you have every activity, every step really documented in terms of a Gantt chart. And then there is another set of documents usually are common to any application, Portugal 2030, like non-debt certificates, SME certificate, 𝐏𝐨𝐿. So a bunch of documents that are super common. We just highlight these ones because are the ones that usually most different from the average application. Because Seixas told in the beginning, one of the available projects where you can apply is regarding a building of a new establishment. And so when your project involves a construction of this establishment or a structural work in an existing establishment, you will also need to attach every legal document that proves that you can do this construction. And we're talking of documents like building permits that are already approved by the City Hall or are comproved that were already submitted to the City Hall, engineering process, projects when needed, also the architecture projects also. So every document that you need to, let's say, build a new building, build a new establishment, or do structural work that you will normally do by the Portuguese law, you will also need to submit these documents to the application itself. Okay. In terms of the best application practices, and so this is a thing that we have been highlighting since the beginning of we did this roadshow. First of all, and the most common one that we use is the SMART methodology, and I just refer that you will need obviously to present a Gantt chart. So obviously this methodology is super important, and especially the time bound part. Okay, and obviously when you're doing a project for 3-4 million, you cannot give random numbers, and the numbers cannot look like empty, and your objectives cannot look like empty. So they have to be specific. They have to be able to measure those objectives. They need also to be achievable by the current situation of your company. The current situation of your company needs to show that those objectives are achievable and realistic at the same time. So this SMART methodology is super important. Okay, you obviously will need to present what is the innovative process that in this project. Okay, where are you innovating? Okay, are you creating a new product? Are you restructuring all of your process? So you have a old factory that doesn't suffer the constructions in the last 20 years. Now you're doing something completely new, Industry 4.0, IoT, RFID, all of these things. Okay, in marketing, organizational. So you need to clearly explain, and it needs to be clear to anyone what is the innovative component of your project. Okay. You obviously will also need to explain and present what is the methodology behind this project and how we will be able to achieve what you're planning to do. Okay, the methodology here is super important because of the size that these projects usually take. Okay, the financial statements. First of all, the official financial statements that you will need to submit, they need to sustain what you're saying. So if you are on huge losses for the last 3 years, you can now say that you will be building with your own money a project of 20 million euros. Okay, so your financial statements need to sustain your application, and obviously the financial statements that you will develop as your forecast for the next 4 years, they also need to sustain this application. Okay, obviously, the higher you ask, the higher is the project, the more demanding and the more scrutinized will be these financial statements. Okay, the point five, that is obviously the management team, the core team is super important. Their experience, their expertise, if they are familiar with your industry, if they are familiar with the execution of big Portugal 2030 projects, if the company itself already won in the past a Inovação Produtiva project. So this is super important to highlight uh, because it will prove that you have the needed experience to execute something as big. Okay, and then obviously the last point is you need always to pay special attention to the evaluation criteria, and you always need to ensure that the application has at least a score of 4.5 to ensure that no matter what, your application will receive the money at the end. Okay, this is around the best application practices that you should follow and that we have been talking for the last couple of months.
Oh, okay. So now we have open floor for questions. So guys, if you have questions about this one, there's no dumb questions. Just ask ahead. Use the comments. That's why we are here for, and we will go through them. Regardless, I also have my own questions. I always like to be a little bit unbiased, so I can be somewhat straightforward about what I understand or not about this one. So here I'm the outsider. The first question, I guess it could be for Moutinho, is about the sectors. We've been mentioning manufacturing. This is a webinar about unlock your manufacturing, but will this grant also work for other sectors?
So this grant specifically, usually the main core is two sectors. So it's a manufacturing one, the big one. Okay, it's the big core in the big goal, but there is also an angle for tourism. And so when we talk about building a new establishment, you can be talking about, for example, building a new hotel. So these are the two main industries, and this opportunity itself is about product. When we talk about product in this opportunity, we are talking about a physical product. So obviously, it's manufacturing or tourism are the two main industries that we are talking here.
Okay, but it could be, let's say I'm from, I don't know. I actually have some physical manufacturing, but I'm doing shoes. No, I mean,
Yeah,
this
so it
one
can be
could be
shoes. We
manufacturing.
can also talk about agriculture, for example, food. So anything that is around manufacturing something in the
Okay,
physical product itself, it's viable.
got it. Okay, so next one for Seixas. And here we'll go into the eligible expenses. What about human resources? Is something we can also include here?
Good question. So, unlike many other programs in Portugal 2030 that actually fund human resources, Inovação Produtiva doesn't. But I expect you mean employees, right? Hiring new people.
Yeah.
This is not included as an eligible expense in Inovação Produtiva, but actually you can use this program to fund expenses with external services, specific external services. If we talk about engineering projects or consultants or operators to set up machines that you are buying in this project, you can do it. But again, for hiring purely, no.
Okay, got it. So it's for building. Can I use this then to build a new office space? So it's not really manufacturing. Would be an office for regular service sort of employees. What about this case?
So, so when we are talking about building an establishment and taking back to the part where this is for industry or for the production of a product, when the building a new establishment is referred to, it's something regarding like a factory. So, an establishment where you will produce something. So, for example, a software company that wants to do Inovação Produtiva just to build a new office it's not a viable project itself. Okay, so it would be if, for example, if you're a shoe company and you want to build a new factory, that is a new establishment that is viable. But if you're like a digital company that you want to buy, build a new office, that will be not be viable itself. Okay.
All right. Um, can then I ask just one more, some examples of applications for this sort of grant. Maybe it can help.
Yeah,
And
I can tell you a couple that we did ourselves, and uh, these would be general expenses that you would find in an Inovação Produtiva application. So I think they are good examples. For example, buying a new plot of land to build an expansion to an existing factory. So just the whole construction costs that you normally have by expanding this factory, these would be included and were included in the application. And then all of the new machinery that is included in that expansion in the factory. Actually, this expansion was also to create a new product. So again, we go to both expansion of a new establishment and creating a new line of products. That included buying new machines specifically to build that product. So that was also included. And also, for example, if you need software to regulate, software or sensors like IoT kind of thing, to regulate your entire new process line, that is also included. So this was a complete project to expand, build a new product, have all the new machinery, and all of it integrated with a new software to basically manage everything. So all of this
Okay.
will, and this is a 1 million euro plus project. Is a regular, let's say, application for Inovação Produtiva.
Okay. So let's say I have a very old-fashioned manufacturing. I can actually use this grant not to build a new one or whatever, but to like introduce innovation like industry 4.0 stuff into my current one, so I can be more efficient. That's valid here.
yes, you just need to ensure that you increase your production by a minimum of 20%. So that is not just like to for your factory cannot maintain the same in terms of production.
Okay, that's interesting. We need to prove that we can increase the manufacturing then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this can even be interesting, not for them specifically, but for sort of startups. They are doing this sort of digital services, not for them, but for their clients to actually use, so they
Yeah,
can use their services. Okay,
Exactly.
exactly.
quite interesting. I don't have more questions at the time. We also don't have specific questions to address. So, do we have anything more to add?
Yeah, I wanted to mention. I think we also have a slide there in how Granter can help in the Inovação Produtiva application.
Let's go on to how Granter can help. Uh, just putting the.
I'll
Here we go.
I'll start by saying that Granter, for the ones that still don't know, we have two main value propositions. The first one is to help small companies, other startups, to find uh, public funding opportunities. So this is one of the main missions of Granter, is for everyone to know which opportunities are available to them and how they can apply. And then the second value proposition is actually applying to them automatically. We're using AI to do it, and also a human layer on top of our technology to help bundle everything and make sure that the applications are as successful as possible. We call this human layer on top of our technology our expert review service, and this expert review is basically an A to Z application process. So we generate an application draft through our platform using AI, and then we have our consultants pick up all this information, make sure that it's actually eligible as a project. So we won't move forward with a project that is not eligible for this specific opportunity, and then they will correct any mistakes that the AI has done, and Obviously, there are some mistakes that the AI does. And after it collects all the documents and submits for the company. So this again is a full application process where for the company is very hands off and much easier than doing a traditional application. In terms of pricing, we have, I think in the next slide, it's we charge usually an upfront fee and a success fee. In this case, as for many of the Portugal 2030 opportunities, we are charging 750 euros upfront. This is a fee on submission, and then we charge a success fee that is based on the amount, on the value of the grant itself. So if it's a huge grant like it is many times in Inovação Produtiva, more than €1 million, we would charge a success fee of 2%. The maximum that we charge is 5%, but that wouldn't apply for Inovação Produtiva because they are usually very, very large projects. And that's it. So anyone that is interested in this specific opportunity or any other, I invite you to go to Granter and find any grants that you might feel are suitable for your company. And if you need any help, just reach out to our team. Just go through the flow in our platform, and we'll definitely help you apply and get all of these grants for your company.
Okay, so here you have it. This is the final of this very short 30 minutes webinar talking about Inovação Produtiva. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach us. You can easily schedule a call with us if you sign up to Granter.ai. There's links there exactly for that, so we can help you address all your grant concerns. And that's it for now. So thank you for listening, and until next time. Cheers.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
guys. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.